Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. Part 2 of the Flail mower installation. Last time I had this thing all apart. I had the mower, the blades, all that stuff out, and the bearings. I cleaned all the bearings. I was going to replace them, but instead I just went ahead and I just repacked them with grease. And since I don't know if this is actually going to work or not, I didn't want to put a whole lot of money into it. So yeah, I just repacked them with grease, and it turns over pretty easily. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And the back roller going across it, all the bearings in it are shot too. And one thing I wanted to do before I did anything was take it outside and drive around and make sure I can steer it. So I will insert a picture of it being outside right now. Okay, that's the picture of it being outside. And it worked. It was fine. There was no problem steering it at all. Something that I had to do, I needed to put a stabilizer in here. So to keep the little 3-point arms from swinging back and forth. Now sometimes they'll have chains, but I didn't want to have chains crossing back and forth over each other. So I just have a solid turnbuckle and added that little triangle down there with a hole in it. And that'll also serve as a toe place to hook up trailers when the 3-point's not on it. And that's pretty cool. I needed that anyway because at some point I want to make a little ripper for this thing, and I do have a tiller. I want to put the tiller on here, and if I ever do any plowing again, all of those things need to have stability on these 3-point arms, and that provides it. The other thing I did is I made some little brackets here. This is just 1/2-inch steel, and I ended up cutting a notch out of here, and this is just the full length all the way through, and then welded all the way around that notch that I made. And then this is just 1/4-inch plate that I kind of put a little bend in to try and meet this radius of the top of the mower, and then welded that all the way around there just as a well, kind of like what they did here. Then I needed to have a top link. So the first iteration came from here and went up to there, and then I was going to have a chain come back here. That way the forward mounts will maintain the height of the cutting blades off of the ground, and if something hits that rear roller, then it'll flex up and that chain will give it some slack. Well, the problem is that this top link was angled like that, and this was angled like a little bit steeper than that. But what was going to end up happening is the top link was just going to over center, and that's all there is to that. I should have taken a picture of that, but that didn't work. Then the next idea was to install this down a little bit closer to the pivots, and then maybe have a chain go back here. But if this is welded here, then there's no pivot point. So this would actually have to have a hinge right here in order for that to work. And then so I put this rigid bar here just so I could simulate lifting this thing up and down. And I mean, it does come up, but I kind of run out of travel because I started too high with this here. I run out of travel because these arms right there hit this seat mount right there. Now I could trim that back a little bit, but I don't want to do that. So what else? I think tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of all this here, get rid of this thing, and even get rid of this top link. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a chain straight from that top link mount all the way down to maybe here. I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'll just run that chain straight from there. And that way this bottom will still control the height of the blades. And then that chain right there, I'll have like a turnbuckle in it also, and that will adjust something. I don't know. I'm kind of doing this by the seat of my pants sort of thing. I think one issue that I might have with this system deal is that this is kind of angled that way, and this is angled too far down. It should be up higher. I don't really know. My geometry is all screwed up on this, and it's causing some issues raising and lower the thing. So I just need to rethink that. I may need to get longer these and put hinges on there. The chain thing tomorrow, that might actually work. Not sure. The other thought I had was instead of having solid arms here, I could have chain there. That way there is there's no down pressure. So how is that going to work? That was going to work. Oh, if the top was rigid. If the top was rigid right there and something tried to lift the back up, it would somehow, in my brain it worked, and now when I'm trying to explain it, it doesn't work anymore. I don't really know what I'm going to do. But, we'll do the whole chain thing tomorrow and see how that goes. All right, we'll see you then. All right, guys, we're back at it for day 2. Something occurred to me last night, or this morning, is what is a good height to cut your grass? So I looked it up. 3 to 4 inches on a cool season, warm season, 2 to 2.5 inches. And I went and looked at my other lawnmower to see what I've been cutting the grass at. Now, the way I had this thing set up is I had the blades sort of touching the top of a 2x4. Now, if you're familiar with 2x4s, they're not actually 2, they're 1.5. So I had the blade set at about 1.5 inches. That's too low. But not only that, I had this set with the blades too low, with my lift arms too high, so that I only had about 1 inch of up travel before the top arm started hitting my seat. Well, that's dumb. So here's where it needs to be. Yeah, maybe not quite this high, but that's about 3 inches. Yep, actually that's about where it needs to be. That's about where I cut my grass. So that's where it needs to be, and that's where I'd like for the arms to be. Man, now I don't know much about welding, but those are kind of in there. I'm not going to take that out ever for any reason. So what am I going to do? Well, I don't really know. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably going to cut this off and then maybe like round that all over so it looks kind of like I meant to do it, and then either take this piece or make a new one of these and mount it upside down, because back here you can see where the heat zone is from that spreader plate that I welded in there. So that's solid. That's real solid. So what I could do is take one of these with a longer foot and mount it upside down so that it goes in this here hole. Oops. I guess if there's a competition for you screw that up, dummy, go back to the drawing board, I just got the big, tall first prize. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. But one thing that I did learn before I figured all that out is I showed you my little top link part. That wasn't going to cut it. But when I had all this attached, one thing I found out is if I put a chain right there, it still doesn't really lift and lower. But if I put the chain right there and then have a block right here, this is a very, very effective way of picking up the back of the mower. So this could actually be used to adjust the height of the cut height. Because this is where I just showed you is the minimum I would ever want it, but I would like it to come up another 2 inches or so I can cut, like rough grass cuts. And I could easily do that by just adjusting this some amount. And with it being chained the whole way, there's play in it so that the back of the mower can come up if it hits a bump or something. I'm still kind of in a situation where if the back tires go into a ditch or something, or into a hole, the front of the mower, the blades, will, possibly scalp my yard. But that's just a reality of cutting the grass, I suppose. But yeah, so this would be kind of a cool way. So I'll have something a little bit different than that. Maybe I can come off of these oopses and possibly use that same top link bracket, and then have just an adjuster up there. Have like a nut or something that pushes down and a bolt that tightens it, something to that effect. But yeah, so that'll be a kind of a good way to adjust the height of this thing. And then the other thing is, I don't actually have a way of telling how far down to put these arms where I'm at the height that I wanted, other than just standing out there. I've got my adjustment here, just standing out there and watching. So anyway, I've got to go to New Jersey here in a few hours. So I think I'm just going to step back and noodle on this for a little while. But I think that's kind of the only choice I'm going to have, is to just cut these things off and mount them down somewhere else. That was really dumb. I do dumb stuff all the time. So this is just kind of par for the course. Grr. Anyway. All right. Yeah, I'm not done yet. The other way this is adjusted, and I think I already showed you this, but up inside here, see how it's got those 3 notches? This is at its highest setting. And theoretically, what I should do, I should set this down all the way to its lowest and adjust those blades where they need to be, and then put the lifting mechanism there, and then I could adjust the height of the cut by adjusting this roller. So this roller, I should probably take that roller all the way down and do all my adjustments. That way I have a way to go up higher. Like I said, I'm going to noodle on this for a little while and try and come up with a solution. But the solution's there. It's just not going to be as nice as it was. Nice as the way I had it, but that's how it goes. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hang on. Not so fast. Why don't I just do it like this and see what happens? I just got rid of this stupid bar. That's about 40 pounds worth of extra weight that I don't need hanging off of the back of this tractor. Got to keep in mind, too, all of the weight of this whole thing back here is bearing down on this little actuator. Now, this actuator is rated at, I think, 1,100 pounds or something like that, but it's, I got it on Amazon or eBay or something from China, so who knows really what it can do. But why don't I just do it like this? I still have to put the motor on it yet. And maybe what I can do is that's where the bar was holding on to. It was just suspended by those bolts. Maybe I can just get some tires. Put some tires back there that are, where's my tape measure? Just some of those like rubber-filled tires. Hold on. Some of those rubber-filled tires from Tractor Supply or something. Put some axles in here. And, yeah, so that's at about 5 inches right now. So maybe get some 9-inch diameter tires or something like that. They don't even have to be rubber. They could be, I don't know. Well, rubber would be good. Well, no, they need to be something that can skid. Because whenever I steer this thing, this is going to be moving side to side. So it really needs to be on casters. So yeah, why don't I do that? I could make a little flat plate, or I could have I don't know. I could do something here and maybe get rid of this part right there, and then just use that flat right here and weld a flat plate, and then just have some casters coming down, and they'd be sort of like anti-scuff. Really, they wouldn't normally touch the ground. That way I wouldn't have to worry about them skidding left and right when I turn. But if I did hit a bump or something like that, then they would take the force of of that, and not allow my blades to scalp my grass. And then that's set up right at about 3 inches. And then that's a very, very simple raising and lowering of the 3-point to cut higher, taller grass. Duh. Why don't I just do it this way? Yeah, I'm just going to do it this way and see what happens. All right. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.